Welcome loreheads to another 40k video as we stare into the timeless depths of the warp where all stories are already written. Now witness 40k 101 where we examine one of the simpler aspects of 40k lore and dive in and explain what it's all about. Today we're going to focus on the Red Thirst and the Black Rage. We'll start with a little conversation between Sanguinius and his warbro, Horus. We give so much to our sons, our aspect, our will, our fortitude. They are the best of us, but they carry our flaws as well. Horus responds, "To be human is to be flawed." "Indeed it is," says Sanguinius. "If we lost that connection, if we truly were beyond humanity, then the Emperor's sons and the Legiones Astartes would have more kinship to Xenos like them." Sanguinius gestured towards the corpse of a Nephilim Xenos, then to the children of Terra. "But for all that we are, we cannot escape what is within. I have bequeathed something dark to my son's brother. Speak plainly. I'm not Russ, who would judge you, or Dawn, who would not listen. You and I, we have no need for pretense. I believe there is a hidden flaw in the genetic matrix of the Blood Angel's gene seed, something in my own biotype. I have looked within myself and seen glimpses of it, brother, a murky core, a trait that lies, but is also buried and waits to be awakened." Horus observes this is the fury he's seen in one of Sanguinius' sons. Sanguinius responds, "It cries out for blood and there is never enough." He goes on to say, "There have been a handful in 200 years from a legion of 120,000. And Sanguinius says he feels that he's sure that the fault is his, and the incidences are coming closer together. I fear that in time it will grow to encompass every one of my sons. In my meditation, I have seen such possibilities." He says, "The story is always the same. A warrior in the throes of battle succumbs to a rage that builds and builds until his reason is lost. His humanity is stripped away until only a feral core remains. He kills and kills, seeks blood and more blood. And at the end, at the very worst of it, he loses every last piece of himself. Until death is a kindness," Horus finishes. Sanguinius says, "I have kept this from our father and brothers for several years, and is searching for a solution, but he has not yet found it." So this flaw, this initial flaw, the Red Thirst, what is it? The flaw means that the Blood Angels are a dying chapter, for they are afflicted with the dreadful curse known as the flaw. Each time battle looms, they must court the twin dangers of the Red Thirst and the monstrous Black Rage. The former robs the Blood Angels of their nobility, clouding their minds with an irresistible blood madness that reduces them to little more than wild beasts. The latter is far more worse, however, for once the Black Rage claims the son of Sanguinius, they are lost forever, body and soul. Some claim that the root of the flaw lies with Sanguinius' mutated nature. They imply that he must have been afflicted by the powers of chaos when the infant Primarchs were stolen away from the Emperor's laboratory on Terra. Other scholars claim that the flaw lies in the process used to create new generations of Blood Angels. They assert that it has crept in because the Blood Angels used a process known as insanguination to activate the gene seed. All Space Marine chapters use gene seed to trigger and control the process that transforms an ordinary mortal into a mighty warrior of the Legiones Astartes, and later the Adeptus Astartes. The gene seed contains viral machines that rebuild the body according to the biological template contained within and impart a flicker of the glory of the Primarch that sired each chapter. However, at the time when the Space Marine Legions were created, the process was still highly experimental, and many different ways of controlling and managing the transformation were tried. In the Blood Angels' case, the chosen method was insanguination. This process was originally triggered by injecting the aspirants with tiny samples of their Primarch's own blood, some of which was preserved within the Red Grail after Sanguinius' death. The living blood could not be kept this way for long, and so it was injected into the veins of the sanguinary priests. In this way, they became living hosts to the power of Sanguinius. To this day, drinking the blood of the assembled sanguinary priests from the Red Grail is part of the induction ritual for all Blood Angel priests. It is from these same priests that blood is taken to begin the transformation of aspirants in Space Marines. It is possible that over the countless generations, Since the time of the heresy, these cells have mutated slowly at first, but more quickly in recent years, and that errors in replication have resulted in the flaw. Whatever the reason for this flaw, it is certain that its hold over the angels has become ever stronger, and their tendency towards self-destructive madness ever greater. There was a brief hope that when Rebuti Gilman came with the Primaris Battle Brothers and relieved the defenders of Baal, that the Blood Angels and their successors stared in wonder that these warriors would be immune to the flaw that hurt the more established brothers. Sadly, later it emerged that they are not immune to this. Not even the genius work of Belisarius Cawl could remove this flaw. Why? Because I feel that it is an essential part of their character and defines them and their personalities. So it's not something that could be removed without hurting them. So let's just go over the Red Thirst and the Black Rage in a little more detail. The Red Thirst. Deep within the psyche of every blood angel is a destructive yearning, a battle fury and blood hunger that must be held in abeyance in every waking moment. Few battle brothers can hold this red thirst in check unceasingly. It is far from unknown for blood angels to temporarily succumb to its lure at the height of battle. The red thirst is the blood angels' darkest secret and greatest curse, but it is also their greatest salvation, for it brings with it a humility and understanding of their own failings, which make them truly the most noble of space marines. As I said, it's such a big part of their character. To remove it would radically change the blood angels. The fate of those unfortunates overtaken completely by the red thirst is known only to the chapter itself. There are tales of a secret chamber atop the Tower of Amaro on Baal, I believe it's called the Tower of the Lost, and of howling cries that demand the blood of the living, but none are willing to say for certain what secrets lie hidden in this haunted, desolate place. There have been incidents when the Blood Angels have been stationed on distant worlds where members of the local population have gone missing, only to turn up later drained of blood. It is possible that this is the work of cultists seeking to discredit the chapter. It may even be that some of the more superstitious local citizens have taken to offering up sacrifices to their godlike visitors. It may also be possible that these folk have been killed by blood angels overcome by the red thirst. And now the Black Rage. Blood angels are unique amongst the Space Marines in that deeply ingrained in their gene seed is the encoded experience of their Primarch, and most deeply imprinted of all is the memory of Sanguinius' final brutal death at the hands of Horus. Sometimes, on the eve of battle, an event or circumstance will trigger this race memory, and the Battle Brother's mind is suddenly wrenched into the distant past. The Black Rage overcomes the Blood Angel as the memories and consciousness of Sanguinius intrude upon his mind, and dire events, 10,000 years old, flood into the present. A warrior overcome with the Black Rage appears half mad with fury. He is unable to distinguish past from present, and does not recognize his comrades. He may believe he is Sanguinius upon the eve of his destruction, and the bloody battles of the heresy are raging all around him. Such a battle brother stands at the end of his travails, for his path leads only to the Death Company, where he and the chapter's other damned souls will fight one final battle in Sanguinius' name. Now I just want to look at the end in the Death Part 3. When Sanguinius dies, what immediate effect this has on his sons. Once their gene sire had been slain by Horus, that is when the Black Rage is released on Terra, and though this aids them in their fight, they also lose all rational thought, hurling themselves at both loyalist and traitor. For the first time in this hour, a radiating shockwave passed across the mangled realm of Terra. It is not the astronomical exhalation of near divinity that rocked creation when the mantle of the Dark King was ejected. It is more like the blistering flash of a nail bomb. Few notice it, few are aware, few are even touched. The Neverborn feel it, they wince and flinch, and some perish as they are struck, but most are laughing anyway. A death like this is rare and sweet and must be savoured, even if it kills them too. But the angel's sons, every single one of them is caught in this blast. The rage expands, breathless, bloodthirsty, unquenchable. It takes hold of every brother in Sanguinius' legion. It is the flaw of their gene seed, a legacy of their insanguination, a consuming lust like the thirst that they have concealed in their shame. But it is more than the thirst, more than the corruption of modified genes, more than the yearning hunger of hyperactive organs, more than the mutagenic irradiated birthright of Baal. It is an insanity unlocked by the death of their gene sire, an empathic torment that flashes his life and his murder before their eyes, and it is a brutal murder, friends. So they share in his memories, his dreams, fulfilled and unfulfilled, his visions, realised and unrealised, his nightmares, every permutation of his pain, every configuration of his fate, every scintilla of his suffering. They're definitely having a bad day. The angels erupt across the tortured farscape of Terra. Their fury is uncontainable. They become senseless things beyond reason, control utterly lost, with their heads suddenly ablaze with tormenting hand-me-down dreams. They fall on those around them. All of the blood angels are in the field. At this fateful final hour, where else would they be? Almost every one of them is already engaged with the traitor host when the rage hits. Their enemies become their prey. Skills, techniques, tactics, even weaponry are abandoned. The exquisite martial prowess that distinguishes Sanguinius' legion evaporates in seconds. Mindless and feral, they kill everything around them, destroying with their hands and teeth traitors who were moments before holding them at bay with blade and shield. In their insanity, the blood angels are no longer able to differentiate foe from foe. It is not just the blood of traitors that spills. The angels scream. The screaming fills the world. The sound of angels screaming is something no man should ever hear. And later, when his legion knows how to handle this, as we touched on earlier, they're inducted into the Death Company. And I just want to go over their role briefly. In order to keep the Black Rage in check, on the eve of battle, the Blood Angels bend their thoughts to prayer and to the sacrifice of their Primarch so many centuries ago. Chaplains move from man to man, blessing each in turn and noting those against the Brotherhood whose eyes may appear a little glazed. They've not been drinking, friends. This is something else coming upon them. Their speech is slurred or overly excited. Some, almost all, overcome this ancient intrusion from their minds. Much of these warriors' training is directed at controlling it, beating it down into the depths of their being. But for some, the imprint of Sanguinius is too strong. The memory is too loud and demanding. As the chaplains chant their Mori Patris, the mass of doom, the chosen ones collapse into the arms of their priests and are taken away to form a special unit, dubbed the Death Watch. The madness that overcomes these unfortunates is of a very specific sort. In the minds of each fallen brother, the millennia fall away, and they are caught up in the death of their Primarch. It could be different moments, defending the walls of the Emperor's palace, fighting against tyranny by horrors, etc. The warriors of this company seek only one thing, and they are sent forth to their final fate with great honour. Each brother is arrayed in black armour, blazoned with blood-red saltires to symbolise the wounds of the Primarch they belong to during his last battle against Horus. Their ceramite plates are hung with scrolls that proclaim deeds performed and honours earned before the onset of madness. From the moment a battle brother dons the sepulchral armour of the Death Company, he's a dead man walking, lost forever to his chapter, but to be remembered eternally in its histories. Members of the Death Company fight with no thought for their own survival, and the furious willpower lent them by the Black Rage renders them nigh impervious to killing wounds. Under the watchful eyes of the chapter chaplains, the lost brothers of the Death Company know glory beyond even the ken of their battle brothers, fighting against terrible odds in wonderful final service to their chapter. Many of the Blood Angels' greatest victories have followed a shattering assault by the Death Company. There are few enemies who can repel what they face. On Ontax, Melyaneth, Holonan, Armageddon and other worlds, too numerous to mention, the Death Company have more than lived up to their name. Legends of their ferocity have long since spread to worlds where the Blood Angels have never trod. Yet as with all such glories, a price must be paid, either on the bloody ground of the battlefield or in the fleeting calm of victory. These few members of the Death Company that survive the battle perish shortly afterwards, either of their fearsome wounds or through the mercy of the Redeemer of the Lost, whose duty it is to end their suffering. It is better this way, for those who do survive almost always fall victim to the red thirst, turning into creatures no better than the wild beasts craving flesh and blood. The dread tower of Amaro and Baal echoes with their howls. And as we come full circle there, showing you how the angels end their lives in these situations, we'll pretty much wrap up today's video. Tell me what you think of this lore of the Blood Angels. I like how once they've kind of gotten over the Black Rage, they're then so opened by that they then succumb to the red thirst. And I like these sort of different theories on where these flaws might have come from. My favourite is probably Sanguinius and that little effect of chaos that's tweaked him a little bit. Perhaps give him his wings as well. On that note, friends, heretics, lawheads, whatever you like to be called, we'll wrap up today's video.